Everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way, said Viktor Frankl. And the reason I just read that to you and shared that with you, by the way, Christopher Story here, your host for Great Adventures in the Last Frontier. Along with me is Mr. David Webb, flying co-pilot, once again back from his big journey. My sister said to me the other day, now she lives in Austin, Texas, and she said, Chris, baby brother, I think she actually referred to me as, the bag ban, it's not that bad. You get used to it. See, Austin, Texas just passed a bag ban as well, a plastic bag ban about a month ago. She said, you get used to it. And I say, okay, I could get used to a 10-penny nail driven into my forehead, right? It'd be a great place to hang a hat. I mean, I could get used to that. I don't want to get used to that. So I recommend reading. Anybody who thinks, it's a slow incremental decreasing of your liberties, you'll get used to it. Don't worry about it. I suggest the following book to read. It's called Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. That's the quote I just read you. That everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. And that's what we're asking for, is the right to choose one's own way. It isn't a plastic bag. It's the right, it's the freedom to conduct business the way you wish to. And does the city council, does the Homer City Council, the Austin City Council, does any council or local, statewide, or any governmental agency have the right to tell you how you can conduct your business down to this degree? We have regulation, of course. That's going to be part of any economy, any government. There's going to be some restrictions. That's not at issue. What is at issue is, what are you slowly getting used to? The micromanaging that you're slowly becoming used to and being conditioned and being made to feel that you are somehow evil or you're a hater if you oppose it. Again, this bag ban is not saving or helping the environment. I've got proof of it, and I'll share that with you today. There is no way you're going to drag me into the environmental issue on this, though. And I also have proof as to why it is not about the environment and never was. The bag ban is not, I repeat, about the environment, and it never has been. That's a farce, and I have proof of that as well. Aside from the bag ban repeal, which, by the way, I hope to see you Friday down at Save You More between 2 and 6 o'clock. Mark Hemstreet's been a real gem in this. He will not be around. Unfortunately, we'd pat him on the back, but he just unequivocally said, absolutely, come down, set up. We'd love to have you in there to hand out your petitions and get signatures. So that's Save You More, 2 to 6 o'clock on Arbor Day. That is Friday. Save a tree, sign the petition. Okay, other news, celebrating the worst day and the best day for marketing in history. That's right, today marks both the best and worst day of marketing. In 1985, on this day, New Coke was launched, the worst marketing idea ever. And also, 20 years later, today, in 2005, YouTube was born. One of the best marketing inventions and the best things ever. So today is the best and the worst of marketing, celebrated on one day. And you celebrated here with me. It's time for our Alaskan Mind Bender, brought to you by Blackwater Bend Espresso. Custom coffee made to perfection. Every single cup is a work of art. Make Blackwater Bend Espresso your coffee headquarters. Blackwater Bend is not your average drip. Thank you to Pat and the girls. And by the way, expert baristas, training, and constant supervision, constant making the product better, and custom award-winning beans that are blended and roasted custom just for Blackwater Bend Espresso. You're not going to find those anywhere else. Here's your question. Alaska's unemployment rate is currently 6.2%. Is Alaska's unemployment higher or lower than it was last year? Higher or lower than it was last year? Currently, Alaska's unemployment rate is 6.2%. Is that higher or lower than last year? Text me, 299-7653, 299-7653 to enter to win. Text me your name and answer. Is unemployment up or down from this time last year? It should be no surprise. Should be no surprise to you. Well, you know what? It might be a surprise. Either way, let's just make you a winner today. 299-7653, and I'm going to send you out to Blackwater Bend for free. Boy, are they mad at Mark Begich. Oh, man, they are mad at him. I had, it's sort of funny because you can extrapolate from this a lot of different things, but locally even, just friends of mine on Facebook, people that I know, and I have friends on both sides of the aisle, be they left or right, center, whatever, people that don't even have a clue as to what they think. I'll be friends with anybody. I like people in general. But when I talk to or listen in or eavesdrop or Facebook stalk people on the left, let me tell you something. Angry. And a group is threatening to take punitive, quote unquote, punitive actions against Senator Mark Begich. Why? He broke with the ranks of the Democrats and President Obama on gun control. Now, don't be fooled. He didn't really break ranks. All he did on the background checks, all he did is appease you. He wants to be reelected. He absolutely wants his position back. He doesn't intend to come back to Alaska and do a work-a-day job. He wants to stay senator until he's 80 years old. He knew there's no way if he went for gun control, there's no way you were going to reelect him. That's all he's done. However, facing reelection to vote for gun control, again, that would have been political suicide, so he votes against it. And now there's a group, this is a nationwide group that's going to be launching a TV, newspaper, automatic telephone call campaign, all kinds of stuff. I mean, they are really after Mark Begich. However, here's the fear that I've got is they're actually going to be helping him because the more people that get the phone calls, well, I voted against gun control. Well, I think Alaskans, that's going to resonate well with most Alaskans. However, I hope to spread the word and that you understand it's literally a political move. I think everything that Mark Begich does, Senator Begich does, almost everything is politically calculated. And he's not alone in that, but he's who I'm talking about. So that's why I'm telling you what he did on that vote was no different than what he did on the Affordable Health Care Act. He voted for it against your wishes at that point in time, but he knew that if he needed to do that and stay in lockstep with his party. And, of course, now he's too close to the election to do that. So he had to calculate that he had to vote against it. And so, but it just doesn't even make sense. Right, that they're connecting the dots between the horrible mass murder in Newtown to background checks. They're connecting those dots and trying to say somehow that that background checks would have prevented it. You and I both know it wouldn't have. You cannot draw a straight line between background checks and the prevention of such murderous acts. All it is a step towards registration, confiscation, avoiding those kinds of things. That's what it is. He would have voted for it had he not been closer, my opinion, would have voted for it had it not been so close to his election. So we'll keep an eye out for that, though, and don't be fooled by these phone calls. It very well could be that they are trying to actually bolster his campaign here in Alaska. He's already got $1 million stockpiled, so I'm not sure he needed any help. Hey, we're going to take a quick break. Let me remind you of our Blackwater Bend Espresso question. Here it is. Alaska's unemployment rate is currently 6.2% in Alaska. Is that up or down from this time last year? 299-7653, 299-7653. When we return, what one Canadian reporter thinks about you in Alaska here on Alaska Matters. All right, the bag ban repeal petition, Friday the 26th. It is Arbor Day, and I thought that was a classic. I think that that's a great day to celebrate freedom and save a tree. It's so true. I mean, the bag ban repeal here in Homer feels good, sounds good, isn't good for the environment, isn't good for you, and isn't good for freedom. It isn't good for liberty. It isn't good for the country or the community at all. And I've got proof of that, and we'll get to that. I want everyone to have an opportunity to weigh in and decide for yourselves, do you think unemployment is up or down in Alaska? It's currently 6.2%. Enter to win. We've got numerous entrants already. You can be one of them. 299-7653. 299-7653. Enter to win a Blackwater Bend Espresso coffee card. Do you think unemployment is up or down over last year? 299-7653. 653. Interesting story. So I want to talk a little bit more about the plastic bag ban, but we've got plenty of time, so I'm not going to rush it because we've hammered this thing for months. I mean, since January 1, since I delivered to you an illegal plastic bag product. I delivered this program from within a plastic bag after January 1st, and I have yet to be fined or have yet to be arrested for that. But I still, again, we've been talking about it for 4 months now. So I'll get to it before it's over because I've got proof as to why it's not environmentally friendly and why it was never about the environment to begin with. But first, Alaska, where men have guns and animals don't have a chance. This from the Hamilton Spectator. A guy named Jim McDonald's a reporter, and here's this. Here's what he says. I'm just going to lay out a couple of lines from his article and give you an opportunity to absorb what one Canadian thinks about you. Traveling through Alaska by car during the first few weeks of September is a very unsettling experience. The excellent roads and the remarkable scenery soon take second place to the realization that the whole state is an armed camp inundated by hundreds and hundreds of frenetic hunters. These macho animal killers leave nothing to chance in their quest to bag an unfortunate moose, caribou, or bear that happens to cross their path. Powerful, menacing rifles in black cases are mounted on either side of the trailers as they lurch up and down the highways. No doubt they're soon clutched at the ready by these hyper males when they pull off their road at their hunting grounds. The chase begins when they spot signs of an animal. Any animal in season will do, and they tear through the wilderness in order to get sufficiently close, this is the best line of all, to blast the life out of the terrified creature. To blast the life. One more. The great white hunters had swaggered into the restaurant to fill their faces. That's just written with anger, isn't it? To fill their faces. It was obvious that the waitress considered them to be hero-like customers as she scurried around to fill their coffee cups and take their orders. It's called customer service. We have it here in America. I digress. After all, they were on an important mission to kill defenseless wild animals. And you know how ridiculous that is, right? I mean, you're an Alaskan, and you know how ridiculous that sounds to you and I. I'm sharing this with you. First of all, I thought this was fascinating. And I don't believe this represents all of Canada, because if you go to their website at the Hamilton Spectator, you'll read, 8 or 9 comments from people, and 7 of which were going, "Hey, Jim, you're a moron. You don't know what you're talking about." And then 2 were like, "Yeah, Jim, it's so sad. It's a waste of life." And so the majority of Canadians don't feel this way about you and I. But I bring it up to say this. As ridiculous of an idea and description and depiction of what life is like in Alaska as this is, as ridiculous as this is, consider the gun debate. All right? Consider the controls that people want to put on guns, knowing what you know about Alaska and hunting and how this is total mischaracterization of what we do and what you do up here. Consider the people that actually know how to use firearms, know how to use guns, know how to keep themselves and their weapons safe. Right? It's the same thing when you hear the argument against people owning guns and against having these quote-unquote assault rifles and things like that. It's just as ridiculous, in my opinion, to hear somebody describe you as a vicious killer of Bambi here in Alaska because he was out at the wrong time of year. You don't go out, if you don't want to be a part of hunting season, don't go touristing around the state of Alaska during moose hunting season. I mean, it's just that simple. You're going to find people out there trying to get meat to put into their freezers. And it's not any animal will do, because we have regulations, a highly regulated sport and season. And there is no just any animal will do. Likewise, with the gun control debate. This is my point, is you read this and you go, that's ridiculous, because you know better. Same goes for the people that own and control and are responsible with their firearms. It's the same thing when they hear people talking about guns just going off and so forth. They don't just go off. I mean, we know better because we were taught and raised and have the wherewithal to control weapons and guns in accordance with the Second Amendment. That's the reason I brought that up. All right, let's go to, I've got to do this real quick. Where did I put it? So much to talk about, so little time. Where did I put it? It's the, here it is. Has Peter Micciche lost some of his luster? Has Senator Peter Micciche lost a little bit of his luster? I don't know. Letter to the editor from Larry Smith. I thought it was interesting. Larry's rebuking some of the commentary that Peter Micciche made in his Homer event, and he apparently talked about Governor Jay Hammond, and here Larry Smith is actually correcting him and saying, hey, Jay Hammond actually wrote that may not be exactly what Senator Micciche remembered at his hometown meeting, yada, yada. Larry Smith also wrote in his Homer newsletter to the editor last week that Peter Micciche avoided answering the question where he makes his money while in office. And Peter Micciche instead said, well, wait a minute, do you ask, because he works for ConocoPhillips and has for 25 years, but my understanding is Senator Micciche has taken a leave of absence. But the questioner at his little hometown meeting here in Homer was saying, hey, where do you make your money during your campaign? And Peter Micciche turns around and says, well, would you ask that of doctors or fishermen, and avoided answering the question. And it makes you think, is there a conflict of interest? Because for 25 years he's procured his income from ConocoPhillips. Does that preclude him from being an elected senator and doing a good job and not having a conflict of interest? I don't think it precludes him. In fact, let me underline this point by saying I had an opportunity to sit down with someone that works for British Petroleum and has for, I'm guessing, 25 years anyway, maybe even 30 years. And I'm telling you what, the knowledge of the ins and outs of Prudhoe Bay and everything on the North Slope was immense with this gentleman because he's got so many years of experience there. And so anyway, I just thought it was interesting, though, because, Peter Micciche was real popular, and so I'm starting to see maybe a little dissension amongst the folks that had previously supported him, and I'm wondering if maybe some of the luster hasn't been gone or been lost from his star. I could be wrong. I don't know. Just curious to see what you think. Council meets new technology. There's a photograph in the Homer News from last week. Now, if you look at the print edition, you see most of the council members, but not Bo Burgess, Councilman Burgess. He's off to the left. If you go online, homernews.com, you'll see Councilman Burgess moving off to the left. He's got his new iPad, and he's walking around, undoubtedly going to show somebody else how to use it because he's of that generation where he probably already has 2 or 3 at home. Anyway, so the interesting thing is if you look at this photograph, who is Santa Claus? There's a picture of city manager Walt Reedy sitting in the background, smiling like a father on Christmas morning, watching his children unwrap their packages. I saw this picture, and I said, man, I wish I had been able to write the byline for that photograph. All that's missing is a big white beard and a Santa Claus hat. Because remember, there was a free solution to the email problems that they had. But city manager said, wait a minute, we could spend $15,000 and buy everybody iPads. What do you think, guys? And now here they are unwrapping them. I just got such a kick out of it. But don't worry, if they break one of these, that Nick Poulos he's handing these out. If somebody breaks one right now today, they can get a replacement. Not to worry. However, they have to wait 18 months before they break the next one to get a replacement from there because they may not be eligible for that replacement for 18 months. So you got to be very careful with these. Got to be very, very careful. All right, we'll answer the Alaskan Mindbender question in a moment and have a little bit more on, we'll probably spend the rest of the time talking about the bag ban because I want you to know where it's coming from, where it's going, and refute a few different arguments that have been made about why this bag ban is such a good idea. So we'll do that when we come back here on Alaska Matters. You're listening to Alaska Matters. I'm Christopher Story, your host for Great Adventures in the Last Frontier. Alaska Aloha now available at Salty Girls on the Homer Spit. Right behind the Salty Dog Saloon, go into Salty Girls. They're open now for the season. And a nice couple of big displays of Alaska Aloha wear out there. So go out there and check it all out. That's at Salty Girls. Those of you in the Kenai Soldotna area, check out Alaska Aloha at the Fireweed Herb and Gifts Garden store. They're on North Forest Drive. So Salty Girls in Homer and Fireweed Gifts in Soldotna, Kenai. Hey, this is a very serious thing that actually we're going to do an entire program on vaccinations. And I'm working with some people that have a great deal of insight, way more than I do. All I know is anecdotal information about vaccinations, the potential link between vaccines and autism or Asperger's syndrome. And so, but there's an interesting article in the Anchorage Daily News. I encourage you to go read it. Basically, it's called Vaccination Hesitancy. Now, that's whether or not you've ever hesitated, delayed, or denied vaccines to your children. Well, do you think there's a connection between the rise in autism and increased number of vaccines? Are you concerned that your kids and grandkids are receiving way more vaccines than you ever did? Does it make any sense that small children are given vaccinations against STDs? Does it bother you that vaccine companies and businesses are making billions of dollars There's a really good piece that doesn't touch on those issues, which I find interesting that it doesn't. But it's in the Anchorage Daily News, and according to the Alaska Childhood Understanding Behaviors Survey, the percentage of mothers who said they had delayed or refused shots for their children increased nearly 10% between 2009 and 11. That's from 23.8% to 33.2% that are saying, no, we're either delaying, hesitating, or just not allowing vaccinations. And so it's quite fascinating, and the state is very concerned, as you can imagine. Public health is concerned about it. Weigh in. Send me an email, story@xyz.net. If you know an expert, if you are an expert, if you've got an opinion, I want to hear from you as we prepare for our vaccination show, and that will be here on Alaska Matters. So send me an email, story@xyz.net, story@xyz.net. I want to thank Joe Johnson and Renee Krause down at the Homer City Clerk's office. Made it very easy to go down and become a sponsor of the bag ban repeal petition. And of course, they're completely neutral, but it is nice to know that we have such great employees on the rolls there, and so they help you out. They get you all lined out, tell you exactly how to handle the petition and so forth. And so the bag ban repeal petition, you can come down and sign it here at Story Real Estate anytime. I've got a copy of it here. I'm happy to connect with you. Just call or text me 299-7653. I have to be here to witness it. If you cannot make it to the event at Save You More, and I really hope that you do, I really hope that you come down and pour it on. Really, whether you're in support of, I mean, you could paint yourself with the biggest, greenest brush in the world, and you should still, absolutely still, be opposing this kind of banning legislation. Here's a study. In 2011, the United Kingdom's Environment Agency released a study that evaluated 9 categories of environmental impacts caused by different types of supermarket bags. The study found that paper bags have a worse effect on the environment than plastic bags in all 9 categories, to include our favorite, acidification and global warming. Right? It's bad science. And I know you could get science to refute my science. I get that. That's why this has never been about, and really isn't about, the science or the environment. It's about people control. It's about controlling how you behave and modifying your behavior. And to that point, I point out in the Homer Tribune article from last week, bag ban co-sponsor David Lewis said he doesn't have a problem with putting the matter before voters if it encourages participation in the political process. I have no qualms, he said, if people want to sign and put it on the ballot. The ban has had, here's the proof, the ban has had a good impact, he feels. You see more people with their own bags and things like that. Some of the stores maybe don't like it, but it's probably saving stores money depending on how they're handling it. They're not saving money, first of all. And secondly, notice that Mr. Lewis didn't point out that there's less garbage, there's less litter. This was never designed to keep garbage off of the streets or out of the beaches and out of the waters. It was designed to change your behavior so that we can live in an iconic illusion of green, happy, everybody singing Kumbaya, and get rid of those dirty, icky, old plastic bags. It's not about saving the environment. It's not about litter control. It's about people control. If they had come before you and said, look, we, the city council, feel like we have too much litter. We see cleanup day, and we know what's happening. It's just atrocious. We're going to put a bigger fine on people that go down the streets of Homer with uncovered loads. Okay, I get that. That's like, drunk driving laws and things of that nature. Hey, but that's controlling litter. This is not about litter. This is about changing your behavior. That's all there ever was to it. And you've got to put a stop to it, because today it's plastic bags. Tomorrow it's something you care about. When your ox is being gored, it's going to matter to you, and where will everybody else be? We've got to put a stop to this and say, City Council, Madam Mayor, Mr. Manager, your job at City Hall is to make a streamlined community that puts people first. Your job is to balance the budget, reduce the taxes, and spend as little as humanly possible to run an efficient, safe, effective government. Keeping the people safe, that means police and fire. And don't get me started on the non-prepared foods tax. Hey, I really hope to see you turn out on Friday. It's Arbor Day down at Save You More in Homer from 2 until 6 o'clock. Really hope to see you there. Sign the petition. If you can't get there, contact me, 299-7653, 299-7653. We'll be here tomorrow for Radio Realty on 102 FM. Hope you'll join me there. If you missed any portion of this program and want to hear it back or share it with a friend, it's adventurealaskaradio.com, adventurealaskaradio.com. Alaska matters, my friend, and so do you. See you tomorrow.